This lesson will introduce us to the use of functions in Python. This will be the fundamentals of procedural programming. Procedural programming means we're going to break down a problem into procedures, and then we will call these procedures in the order that we will need them. Okay, so a procedure or a function or a method sometimes called. What does it look like? Well, you have to define its boundary. Where does it start and where does it end? So typically in Python, you would write it like this, def, and then my procedure, and then you put two parentheses like this. You open one and the other one. So it's basically a function. And then basically you define here what you want in here. So for example, let's say we say print hello there. Okay, now we're done with this procedure. It simply prints hello there. So that is its function. So one good idea, instead of calling it my prop, maybe call it something a little more meaningful. So the naming of the procedure should reflect what the job at hand should be. So since this is printing a greeting, we could say my greeting. That is much better. Okay, so my greeting is the name of this procedure or this function. What does it do, or how is it defined? It's defined by this print statement. Now notice the space here in between, or the tab. Okay, this is very important. This means this line belongs to that procedure. We're going to prove this in a minute here. So let's say I'm going to print something here that is not indented, right? So print test. Let's put a string here, test 1, 2, 3, right? And we're going to run this program. So let me right mouse click here, run this program, and notice we get test 1, 2, 3. So the key here, nothing happened. So we didn't even print hello there. That's because it's within its procedure. The only way to use a procedure is to call it. So we've defined it, but now we need to call it. So how do we call it? Well, you simply type the name of the procedure when you want it. Right here. Now that will run this procedure, even though we've defined it prior to using it. All right, so let's go ahead and run it, and there you have it. So this here is what we call the function definition and declaration. So here we said what the function name should be. We've defined it, and then we specifically said what does it do, and this here is the actual function call. This is really where the action happens. So let me just put a hashtag here. There you have it. This is a comment that says this is the function call. This here is the function definition. Okay, so it is that easy. So basically, if you want it, and if we want to do it, and here's the advantage of having a procedure. You can call it as many times as you want. And let's say we call it 3 times. Let's see what happens. So you don't have to rewrite the code hello there. You simply call the function when you need it. Okay? All right, so fantastic. So this introduces us now to how we define a function and how do we call it. Okay? So remember, anything indented within that function definition belongs to that function. Let's prove that one more time. Let's go ahead and print this was our greeting. Okay, so you can improve on the function, you can modify it, and notice what we'll do every time you call it. Hello there, this was our greeting, hello there. Now prior to that, test 1, 2, 3, so this was our greeting, never printed prior to this. Okay, so the only time we saw these two statements is when we actually called the function. So anything indented here will only be utilized when we call the actual function at play here. Okay, so I'll see you for the next lesson. We're going to delve into this a little more.